Yeah, Gavin Amundsen with Dr. Adrian Soto from Oxford University, and we've just been talking about neuronal issues and brain issues like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's disease. And one of the things you were describing was the breakdown in metabolism, which is the first thing in any of these type of conditions. Can you just talk a little bit about what's going on with the neurons and
Sure. I mean, I haven't worked directly in the clinical aspect of neurological diseases and exogenous ketones. However, I am well aware and follow research in this topic. And one of the first things that happens when a neuron is ill or injured is that it changes its metabolism. And a common factor in many neurological diseases, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, is that these neurons aren't as capable as before of metabolizing glucose.
Okay, so they can't uptake glucose and get as much energy.
Yes, or they can't get as much energy from the glucose they've just taken. They are insulin resistant.
Okay.
And what ketones do, and you could say that nature invented ketones thinking in the brain or aiming to the brain, because that's exactly what we need them, as a substitute for glucose in the brain.
Because when we wouldn't have had food,
exactly,
we're breaking down our body fat to produce ketones.
Exactly. You would say that ketones have a lot of different roles in metabolism, but the main one is sparing glucose for the brain and also acting as a substitute of glucose in the brain. So if you have a frail neuron, an injured neuron, that on top of whatever it's causing its disease is undernourished, doesn't have the same energetic capacity as before, if you bring in an easy to metabolize fuel, this neuron, it's not that it solved the problem, but it's more resilient. It's more can endure better, and of course can stay alive for longer. It's not that ketones will regenerate neurons or that will solve everything. It's not like snake oil or anything like that. It's just that it will make possible for neurons to have one thing less to mind about when they are trying to cope with whatever it's ailing them. So,
and the other thing you mentioned as well was the reactive oxygen species as a cause.
Yes,
of that.
We produce reactive oxygen species because we breathe. That's it. Part of the metabolism, but one of the consequences of getting energy out of substrates, out of fats, glucose, and protein is the production of reactive oxygen species. Ketones yield similar, if not more, energy without producing as much reactive oxygen species. So, for example, one of the things neurons do when they are, particularly in Alzheimer's, one of the things we've seen that neurons do when they feeling, it's a weird verb for a cell, but when the cell, one of the things cells do to cope with Alzheimer's or with the production of this abnormal production of protein is to slow down metabolism to prevent reactive oxygen species production.
Okay. So when it slows down metabolism, it's not going to conduct the impulses as well.
It's a double-edged sword because you slow down metabolism because you don't want as much reactive oxygen species, but at the same time, slowing down metabolism impairs other functions in the neuron.
Okay.
So if you bring in a fuel that yields energy without producing as much reactive oxygen species, this also helps neurons to stay alive for longer and to cope better with whatever is causing the disease.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing with anecdotally, and the research hasn't caught up with this, is lots of people getting benefits from having increased ketones in their blood and in their brain.
In this regard, it is important to say that one of the main mantras in medicine is that there are no illnesses, there are ill people, meaning that every disease will be different in different people. We still don't know. One of the things we don't know is, for example, how late in a disease we can use ketones, or it would make sense.
Yeah.
The same way we do this with other diseases, for example, diabetes. We know that there are certain stages in the disease where some therapeutic interventions make sense or not.
Yeah.
So it is likely that once a neuron is dead, there is not much to do about it.
Yeah.
So certainly it could be the case that there is an optimal stage in the disease where ketones will make sense.
Sure.
Because again, it's preserving or helping your neurons survive.
Sure.
But in late stages, I think it is unlikely there will be much benefit. So we're learning about this.
Sure.
And certainly a lot of people have reported benefits. However, it is expectable that not all of them will report the same benefits because not all of them start taking ketones in the same stage of the disease.
Sure. Okay. Thanks very much. Cheers.
Thank you.